welcome to All Steelers Talk, your home for everything Pittsburgh Steelers, presented by allsteelers.com.
What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbein, joined every Monday and Wednesday by my main man, Steven Thompson. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk or anywhere you get your podcasts. We're talking about a win here on All Steelers Talk. Feels very, very good as Pittsburgh walked away 20-10 winners over the New Orleans Saints in Week 10. A game that kind of felt like they owned that right from the jump. But, you know, there was obviously some mishaps, but that's okay. A win is a win, and a 10-point win feels better than any win that they've put together this season. It's dark outside. I just got home from the game, obviously. But how you feeling, my friend?
Feeling good. I'm watching my fantasy team lose a grip on the lead in I'm only in 2 leagues, and I was doing pretty well in both of them, and the past 2 weeks have just been brutal to watch. Last week, I don't think either of my teams got to triple digits. This week, I'm just like Josh Allen stinks. Apparently that elbow really is valuable when you're throwing freaking football. And then, I don't know. Just so many people just give me single digit points, and I'm like, you're supposed to be a star, man. What are we doing here? But
yep, I feel you. That's my my problem this year is not that I have bad stars. It's that I decided that Jeff Wilson was the better option over Raheem Mostert, but Raheem Mostert put up 22 points and Jeff Wilson put up 15. And then I'm going to end up losing by 6 because of that decision. Fantasy football is great, let me tell you. And that's become my addiction since I stopped gambling because I was losing so much. And now that I'm really bad at fantasy football, I'm just like, all right, well, I have to start gambling again because if I'm not going to win any money in fantasy football, I have to win money somewhere. That's just right. That's just how the brain works. That's just how things operate. Before we kick this off, I do have to bring up, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but everybody who's talking about the pigeons on the field, you know, that's a weekly occurrence at Acrisure Stadium. The pigeons are basically part of the team at this point. I'm going to miss them once it gets cold and they leave. Although I don't know if pigeons actually fly south or whatever it is for the winter.
Right,
I think they just hang out.
It snowed today. So if it wasn't too cold for them today, then I doubt they'll ever leave.
Yeah, exactly. It was snowing as I left, and they were just chilling. They were just looking at you, just like, "What's up, man? Is it cold? Are you cold? I'm not cold. I live in Pittsburgh."
They thought it was weird that everyone else was there.
That's how I think that's how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's their home. We just show up on Sundays, and they're just like, "What the heck? What is going on?" But anyways, I don't know who the Steelers' social media manager is. I'm not totally sure, but this is the greatest tweet of all time, in my opinion, and should definitely be woken up to with a raise tomorrow morning or an extremely large bonus.
Oh hell yeah!
How great is this?
That's quite a Photoshop job. Never really seen a chain. I've never seen an iced out pigeon before.
No. And it's been, so just to talk about the Steelers social media team, it has been constant George Pickens, which if you're going to lose, George Pickens is the person you should hammer all the time because George Pickens just brings smiles to people's face. He's just a walking smile. And then you win and you're like, all right, you know, we're going to keep going George Pickens, which they did. But on top of that, they tossed out a pigeon with a W and a Steelers hat on the turf. Phenomenal. The phenomenal job. 10 out of 10. Don't know who it is. I've already sent in some requests to Omar Khan to make sure that raise was taken care of because that was extreme. That was the best thing I've ever seen. 10 out of 10.
It was good. It was really good.
20-10 win over the Saints. Must win game, I think, from here on out for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But this is how you kick off the second half of the season. There were some ups, there's some downs. We're going to talk about all of it. I want to talk about Kenny Pickett. I want to talk about Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris. TJ Watt's return, the fourth down stop. You know, pretty much everything that came out of Week 10 against the New Orleans Saints at Acrisure Stadium. Let's start with Kenny Pickett. Didn't really have the best game, I believe, but didn't have the worst. He went 18 for 30 for 199 yards. Didn't throw a touchdown. Didn't throw an interception. He ran 8 times for 51 yards. Got a touchdown, although it was really 7 times for 53 yards, but he took the knee. walking away, how do you feel about Kenny's performance? Do you think it was okay enough to feel like it's headed in the right direction, or are you still concerned?
No, I'm not concerned, and I was never really. I mean, outside of throwing 5 picks or whatever, I don't think I was ever going to be legitimately concerned about who Kenny Pickett was or how he was going to play moving forward. You're not going to make any sweeping judgments about a guy when he's 6 or 7 games into his starting career. But you know, the kind of final part of that, the final parts of that stat line, I feel like are the most important. The no picks is obviously huge. Just taking care of the ball is for this team and for this offense. The Steelers are undefeated when they don't commit a turnover, and they have lost every game that they've committed a turnover in. It's like really that simple. So taking care of the ball is the first thing. Um, you can live with just about everything else, but as long as you hang onto the ball, especially because like that final, the Steelers in the fourth quarter, the Steelers won time of possession, I think 11 and a half minutes to 3.5 minutes. Like just hanging onto the ball when you have like a big lead. Like the Steelers have not played every game from behind this year, but they've had some chances to close out some games. And even though the offense didn't score in the fourth quarter, they were able to win the game pretty much and ice it out. And like hanging on to the ball is the most important part. And then also, I thought Kenny was excellent running the ball today. Like I thought that was a really great addition that they've kind of put in over the bye week and really kind of committed more to. And I thought that was a big part of why the Steelers won, quite honestly, and could keep the chains moving and could stay ahead. It could stay on schedule and things like that.
Is there any concern about his like ability to read a defense or his progressions, I should say, because he started the game with the throw behind George Pickens and Pickens was wide open. There was a couple of throws where he pretty much stared an open receiver down, but like his brain was already in the you have to run the football. So he just kept going. Is that does that just come with time? Is it in your head? Is that just something that, he'll get there? It's not really a concern. These are the early stages of a rookie.
Yeah, I'm much more willing right now to chalk it up to that than anything else. Like I said, you can't make huge sweeping judgments about who Kenny Pickett is or what he's going to be off of 6 or 7 games or 6 or 7 starts. So I'm not concerned yet about them. The fly. But it's not something I want to see get worse over the course of a year. And I think you got to look at it that way. Like if this is the beginning of a trend, if this continues throughout the year, if we're still talking about the same things in week, you know, 12, 13, 14, 15, then we can start to get worried about it. But right now, I'm a little more, you can be a little bit more lenient, I think, with him.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not pushing the panic button on Kenny Pickett. I won't push the panic button on Kenny Pickett. I will say that if anything, it has to keep your mindset or your outlook on the rest of the season, no matter how good it gets, in perspective, because you need a quarterback to win a Super Bowl. Nobody wins a Super Bowl without a quarterback. So say the Steelers go on some run, and I know that a win against a 3-6 team is not the season is now full throttle. This team's going to be great. But, you get TJ Watt back. You're going to get Minka Fitzpatrick back at some point. You finally kind of got something in George Pickens and in Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris. So things are starting to look good. Again, it's got to keep going. But if it does turn in the positive and these stack up and the season starts to head in a positive direction, you got to kind of look at it like, dude, I get it. Like the Steelers are winning. This is good. But Kenny can't win you a Super Bowl right now, But I do think that the rest of it, like his ability to run, like you said, very impressed with his instinct to take off. Like it's like, okay, there's a seam, go. We're not waiting. We're not letting the pocket collapse before I take off. If I see an opening, I'm going, which is just great because you get a quarterback with his athleticism. He could turn a 4-yard run into a 20-yard run before anybody catches him. And that's just as good as a pass sometimes. Also, he breaks tackles in the backfield. He's able to escape the pocket, which is all good. I like his athleticism. Obviously, his demeanor is fine. We've never complained about his demeanor. You have to take those steps forward in the progression by the end of the season. But like you said, it's like 4 starts at this point. Like you can't be freaking out over a guy who has no experience not being able to read a guy that he just started practicing with 4 weeks ago and doesn't have that chemistry. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
also think that now that the offense is clicking, things will get better. Sorry, good.
No, yeah, I didn't have anything to add. Yeah, it's just like I'm not. You will never get me to overreact about Kenny or really react super strongly. I feel like about Kenny the rest of the season. Like I don't know. There's just this is such a flawed unit that he's in and that he's leading. So it's like I'm just gonna find it really hard a lot of times throughout the season to make kind of sweeping judgments or to say anything really definitive about him. I mean, like we watched Justin. I mean, you weren't watching it because you were at the game and this game was happening simultaneously. But how many times was Justin Fields, kind of written off a little bit about last year? How many times was
True.
he thought of as not kind of fit for this moment when he was in his second year, was drafted into a weird situation, and now he's really starting to figure it out. I think Kenny's not as athletic. Like it's not an apples to apples comparison. Kenny's a little different, but there's some similar things about them in the situations that they were both in. So I think you don't have to look far to say, okay, here's an example of someone who struggled a little bit with those same things early and is now kind of just needed a little bit of time to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, and Josh Allen's the prime example of that too. Like Josh Allen was really, really rough his rookie season, and he had a team around him. Like that was the craziest part. Josh Allen had a team. He had a head coach. He had a defense. He was heading in the right direction. He just stunk. Like he couldn't play football well at all in his rookie season. And then from there on, I mean, now he's probably, if he stays healthy for the rest of the year and doesn't throw 2 interceptions with a bum elbow, shout out to Steven's fantasy football team, then he's probably going to win MVP, So you can't judge. We keep saying it, and I'm having a hard time putting myself in that perspective when I watch the games of like, oh, that was a bad pass by Kenny, to just say immediately, yeah, well, he's a rookie. But I do find myself saying that, like, okay, yeah, but he's a rookie. But he's a rookie.
Yeah.
He's 4 starts in. You can't freak out about this stuff. You can't overcommit to a judgment when it comes to this guy. And I think you're right. Like, it's just you got to calm down. No overreactions. Fans are going to have a hard time with that. I know, but you got to give him. If next year he comes in here and he sucks, and then you start freaking out, then you have a justification. But right now, until the end of the season, you just can't. You just got to sit back and let it happen.
Yeah, and that's no reason. Like you don't need to handle him with kid gloves. Like
No.
You can be honest about him. Like he missed a bunch of those today. Like you said, you outlined. He made some poor decisions too. But it's just it's not something that's worth, I think, reading into a whole lot or being really freaked out about or panicking at this point.
Yeah. Keep your judgments soft and calm, and until next season, just highlight things. Just be like, okay, well, he has to get better at this. That's way better than just saying, okay, well, he was really bad at this. Just say, well, he's got to get better at this. And I think that that works wonders on how you view the situation. I do want to talk about Jaylen Warren. I want to talk about Najee Harris and obviously TJ Watt. But first, we got a word from our boys over at Manscaped. And my house, I came home. My fiance was watching a Christmas movie, drinking hot chocolate. It snowed at the stadium today. I slammed like 4 hot chocolate coffees. Yeah, I made hot chocolate with coffees. I had to do it. And there's Christmas music playing all over my house downstairs. So I feel like this is the perfect ad read to bring to everybody here. It's never too early to play holiday music, and it's never too early to start thinking about gifts. Whether it's for a friend or the friend in your pants, you can make this season a season to be jolly with Manscaped. Do your little drummer boy a favor and use the Lawnmower 4.0 to avoid another silent night in the bedroom. Then add in Manscaped's top-of-the-line shower products to have people thinking, all I want for Christmas is you. Santa cares about his sack, and so should you. Look nice when you get naughty by going to manscaped.com and using our promo code STEELERS20 for free shipping and 20% off. First off, did you get the box? Second off, have you gone through the box? Because I've already used half of the shower products already because I'm just addicted to the scent. I won't lie. It's very, very, very good scent.
I did get my box. I have not used any of the products yet. I have things I need to, I think, go through like I have other stuff that I need to use before I open something new. But I'm excited to use them.
Understandable.
You've spoken very highly of them.
I'm a big fan. I got 2 showers in this house, and one of them's just straight Manscaped products. So when people stay over, they kind of look at me weird, and I'm like, test them out, man. You'll be liking them. You'll be liking them. The Manscaped Platinum Package 4.0 is the one-stop shop for the man who deserves it all. It has everything needed to help you deck the halls from face to balls just in time for mistletoe season. The Platinum Package has each product from the best-selling Performance Package plus Ultra Premium Body Wash, Ultra Premium 2-in-1 Conditioner, and Ultra Premium Deodorant. It's the best way to smell fresh from your Santa hat to your candy cane. The Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer and the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer feature proprietary advanced skin-safe technology to protect your delicate presence. Plus, both are waterproof, so there's no issue clearing the snow out of your driveway. There's also a 4000K LED light on it, so you can light the way just like Rudolph. Now that you've groomed your candy cane, it's time to make sure you don't smell like a reindeer with the Platinum Package's shower products. All of Manscaped's shower gear is sulfate-free, vegan, and made to have your skin feeling hydrated and smelling fresh. But smelling good doesn't stop at the shower. The Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner can solve stank problems all day long. Once they touch your sack, you'll never go back. The Platinum Package 4.0 sitting under the tree is guaranteed to put anyone in the holiday spirit. And for the perfect stocking stuffer, add the brand new Body Buffer, an incredible body scrubber that makes exfoliating easy and a lot cleaner than that old loofah. Get 20% off and free shipping with our code Steelers20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. And all you have to do is use our code Steelers20. Manscaped, get your jingle balls ready for the holidays. Feels festive. It feels right to do that today as I go downstairs and eat some Christmas tree cookies and definitely slam some eggnog. I definitely feel like I got to drink a glass of eggnog after that one. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren. They both had big games. Najee had the first breakout game of his season, 20 carries, 99 yards. He averaged 5 yards a carry. He was like 6.7 at one point during the game. Jaylen Warren, 9 rushes, 37 yards, but he also was a contributor in the passing game, catching 3 passes for 40 yards. This kind of felt like the first game of what the Steelers have been trying to do all season, or at least what the fans have been screaming for the Steelers to do all season, and that's get both of these guys working and working well. I mean, it worked. Do you expect this to continue? Do you just look at this as a breakout game from Najee, something that he needed, or are you a little worrisome that this is a one and done deal?
No, I think it's pretty clear that this is sustainable, and I think it's sustainable because you notice that they split touches, that they kind of split saps, that Jaylen Warren was not just was more than Najee's backup. Like, he was still Najee's backup. He's still the second stringer, but he was more than that. He was a valuable contributor. He wasn't an emergency, a guy you turn to when Najee's not a big guy, then because he's earned it. And just when you watch the way that they split carries, you also notice Najee running with a little bit more power and energy and speed and quickness. Like, it was a symbiotic relationship. You know, they were able to play off of one another. Jalen's a nice compliment to Najee. You know, Najee a harder runner, but Jaylen maybe a little faster, bit more of a bit stronger of a pass catcher, a bit more natural pass catcher probably. They just fit well together. They give you different things. They just allow you to do more. And Jaylen has absolutely earned, like, every time they give Jaylen the ball, he does something positive. Every time he's on the field, he does something positive, whether it's making a big run, a big catch, doing something athletic like he did on that hurdle. I think it was in the fourth quarter on that long run down the sideline. Or like pass protecting really well. Like, both of those guys can do that. You don't miss much when you change between those two guys, but they can give you something different. And for that, like, we've talked about this before. Like, Najee didn't look whole for a good bit of this season. It was pretty clear that he wasn't operating at full capacity. So just being able to take some of the burden off his shoulders, I feel like was really valuable.
Yeah, it was huge. It was huge. And that hurdle run that you're talking about with Jaylen is That was the game sealing one, 3rd and 8 or something, 21-yard burst right up the seam or right around the corner. I asked him about that after the game, and he just smiled, and he was like, my body went up, and I just said, hey, this is what we're going to do. I agree with you. I think that you look at both of these guys, and if they both click, this is what the Steelers needed, because last season it looked like Najee Harris was going to be the bell cow back, and we were so worried about that all summer long. You can't go into the season with just one running back, especially a guy that's taken the blow as much as he's taken the blow over the years. It's just not going to work out. And then Najee starts to struggle at the beginning of the year. You see Jalen kind of have these bits and spurts of quality runs, and then boom, they both click and we see what could happen. And you saw it throughout the game. I mean, Jaylen Warren did not have a good game on the ground up until that 21-yard burst, but he had a great game catching the football and pass protecting, and he was making a spark, but you didn't need a huge spark. You didn't need a game-changing spark from Jaylen Warren because Najee Harris was also contributing to that spark. The two of them combined gave you enough offense where you're like, okay, look at the ground game's moving. These running backs are doing something really good. We could feed off of this as an offense as a whole that gets Kenny Pickett open. It allowed George Pickens and Deontay Johnson to get open. It allowed the middle of the field to get open. It pushed the Saints back a little bit. It just worked flawlessly, like they've been trying to do all season long. I am a little nervous that this is, a one and we'll see what happens game for Najee Harris, just because I'm more of a prove it guy than I am a, one game at a time type thing. It's you have to stack consistency to be a proven guy in this league. And I think Najee did that last season, but he hasn't done that this season. I also look at Najee not as a physical ailment, but more of a mental ailment at this point where, somebody brought up the word yips to me, where he could possibly have the yips, where he doesn't know where to cut and he's freaking out because he knows that the offense is relying on him. And I kind of agree. Like, we came into the season with such high expectations for Najee Harris. The defense was gonna put the offense in position to win, and Najee Harris was gonna carry the offense to win games. That didn't happen. Everybody got really loud around Najee Harris. Oh, it's time for him to go. He stinks. He's a bust. Jaylen Warren, you got to put him in. The offense is terrible. You start thinking, you start hearing the noise. He clearly heard the noise. Things starting to get worse. So now that things are looking good, I want to see, can they stack and can it continue into next week? But if it does, this is exactly what they were looking for in an offense. And I honestly, I don't think anything needs to change. I think that you could do this again every single week. And this is what they were talking about, of how the running game can work efficiently, but you're going to have a much harder opponent in Cincinnati next week than you did New Orleans this week,
Definitely. But yeah, I completely agree. Like, you can't, say anything definitive about it until you see it done over and over again. But it's a step in the right direction. At certain points, you were just like, why were they not able to do this all year long? Better late than never, I guess.
No, it is definitely better late than never. It's a good way to start the second half of the season than it is to, if it was bad again, then you got to start talking about, okay, like, at what point do you can Najee and just put Jaylen Warren out there? I think this is the perfect mix. This is what the Steelers needed. 20 rushes a game for Najee is perfect. 10 to 15 for Jalen's exactly what you're looking for. Take a little bit off of Kenny. Tell him to stop running the football so much because he's going to get hurt. And things will be fine. Kenny did come up limping the third quarter, I believe. Went into the medical tent. He said it was nothing. It was a left ankle, I guess. I think that's another proponent to this is, allow your running backs to run the football. Stop trying to run the football so much and getting hit. If you're open and slide, that's totally fine. But do not take as many hits as Kenny takes these days. And I think things will work out better in his favor and health-wise, definitely, because you want Kenny Pickett to be around for a long time. All right, the last thing I want to talk about is TJ Watt's return. I mean, I don't even know what there is to say. It was an instant spark. It was crazy. The dude, the first play, false start by New Orleans. Second play, tackle for loss, TJ Watt. Third play, tackle for loss, TJ Watt. Like, it was absolutely ridiculous how much better this team looked instantly. Jaylen Warren said it too after the game. He was like, what that guy brings is crazy. I don't know. Comments? I don't even have a question. Like, I don't even know where to go with this. It's just the TJ Watt impact. Can really the biggest thing is can somebody come in week 10, do not even a ton, just do what he normally does, probably not have a crazy statistical season and still be considered the most valuable player in the NFL, because really he might be. If we've learned anything today, he really might be.
Yeah, it was just the ripple effect of TJ Watt existing in pads and a uniform at Acrisure Stadium, like, completely changes everything. Like, that false start, it was loud in that stadium. Like, you can speak to that better than I can because you were there, but it was a crazy environment, and you could tell from the video of TJ Watt getting introduced and the fan reaction, like, just by seeing him, the crowd got incited, and they're a little bit more excited. They believe a little bit more. And then you watch it in action on the football field, when offensive lines and running backs and protection schemes have to pay so much more attention to him. It opens up everything for everyone else. It wasn't, like you said, he didn't even have to have a great statistical game. I think he had 4 tackles and a quarterback hit, which is good, but he didn't have to wreck the game in terms of actually sacking the quarterback or anything like that. It opened up so much for everyone else to put a bunch of hits on Andy Dalton, pressure him into throwing 2 picks, I believe. Yeah, just 2. There was a ripple effect throughout the rest of the team and throughout the rest of the stadium that you could just feel and see and hear.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. Like it was nice. It was good to see, because I feel like you got that spark when Kenny came out there against the Jets, but you didn't really get that afterwards. It kind of died down. And that's really the only other time you've gotten that this season is Kenny, because until then there was nothing to really feel that good about. TJ Watt comes back and everybody kind of knew, like, from the jump, like, all right, this is it. Season starts today. How much better can they get? Like, you go from here, you're 3-6. You're entering the easiest part of your schedule. We went through this last week, and I think we gave them 2 more wins after this one. One of them against Indianapolis, and I think the other one was maybe against the Browns. I don't know. Where do you go from there? How, like, you watched it today. Do you exceed those 2 wins, or do you think this is still a, all right, don't get too overexcited on this season kind of team?
Well, I think to the effect that Watt is like such a difference maker. Like, we have tangible evidence that they can beat the Cincinnati Bengals with TJ Watt.
Yeah,
because they did it in week 1. No, obviously, I think Cincinnati's playing better now than they were at the beginning of the year, but yeah, like, why put a ceiling on it at this point? Because they can win in the exact same way. They don't have to look particularly more impressive, but I think they can win in this same way against weaker competition. Like that. Like, they can. I would definitely. I'm much more willing to say, oh, they can steal one from the Bengals or the Ravens. They can definitely beat the Colts and the Browns. I forget who else is exactly on that schedule too, but it's not daunting at all.
Carolina. It was Carolina. That was the other
Carolina. One. Yeah, they should be able to eat Carolina alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, this is it, now. I mean, honestly, is the point where it starts to get tricky about. You have to kind of do the we're not tanking act. While it's kind of more beneficial for you to tank right now, quite honestly, and you just enter that kind of tricky. Like, I saw people talking about that. Like, is it possible to arrive on game day, to like wake up on game day and say, "Hope we lose. I want to get that draft picked." Like, that's really hard to do. You can't do that on a game day.
No, TJ Watt would punch you right in the face if somebody told him that. Like, hey man, look, we're gonna need you to go 65% here because we have to lose this game. He'd headbutt you. He'd headbutt you right instantly.
Yeah, and it's like, that's just always going to hang around. That's always going to have to be like, okay, how much improvement is too much improvement? Because I don't think even at this team's peak, they're going to do anything more than maybe get back to 500, quite honestly.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's how I look at this season. I say from here out, like, if everything clicks, like if George Pickens is just as involved, if Kenny Pickett begins to progress week by week, if the defense stays just as good as they stayed this week, which maybe they could, they got 2 key pieces back. That's huge. We have not seen DeMonte KZ all season. He immediately had an impact. We haven't seen TJ Watt all season. He immediately had an impact. Like, maybe that's big enough to make this defense as good as it was expected to be. And then the offense could do something if Najee and Jalen could get things going and George Pickens and Deontay Johnson continue to do what they've been doing. Maybe getting rid of Chase Claypool was more of a blessing because you didn't have to worry about him as much. Maybe they do start winning. I don't know, but I agree. Like I said, with Kenny Pickett, like you're not going to win a Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback. So you have to start thinking, okay, how good's too good? And then we're going to just hurt ourselves, which they'll never think like that. Like they will never think like that. Their job is to go try to win a Super Bowl. That's how they should approach every single week. But us, we have to start thinking, okay, like every week, if they keep stacking these wins, like it's cool to go on a run, but how disappointed are you going to be when you lose, when you just miss the playoffs and you have pick 18 and you're like, wow, could have had pick 6. Like that would have been way better to build a team off of. But I don't know, like at the same time, if you're a fan, you're not thinking like that either, and you shouldn't be. But as analysts, you got to sit here and you got to think, what's too good for this team? Either way, I feel like more than the next 2 wins are very possible for the Pittsburgh Steelers as we sit here today, which is much more exciting for the black and gold than it was, 6 days ago when we did this last podcast. All right, we'll see what happens. But anyways, a new week, week 11, Cincinnati Bengals come to town. A lot of things are going to change. Looks like this team's headed in the right direction, which feels good. We're heading out of here. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk, and find us anywhere you get your podcasts. As always, go use our promo code at manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping. We'll be back on Wednesday. Enjoy your week.